The rain poured relentlessly outside as Grace clutched David's arm, struggling to breathe through another contraction. "Breathe, honey." "Almost there," David whispered, steering her toward the entrance of the hospital. Inside the hospital lobby, the fluorescent lights flickered slightly. A line of patients waited at the front desk, but David helped Grace sit down while he approached the reception. "We need a room. My wife's in labor," David said calmly. The woman behind the desk barely glanced at him. "Name?" "Grace Thompson," David responded, glancing anxiously back at Grace, who was gripping the armrest of the chair, her face twisted in pain. "All right," the receptionist said flatly, typing into her computer. "Someone will assist you shortly." David frowned. "She's in a lot of pain. Can we get her into a room now?" The receptionist raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "There's a process, sir. Please wait your turn." David returned to Grace's side, brushing her wet hair from her forehead. "Just a little longer, sweetheart," he whispered. "We'll get through this." A nurse in scrubs, Amanda, appeared in the hallway and strolled toward them. Her expression was blank, and as she stopped before Grace, she gave the couple a quick, dismissive look. "So, you're in labor?" Amanda asked, with a hint of boredom in her voice. Grace let out a groan, too overwhelmed by the pain to respond. "Yes, she is," David answered. "Can we get her into a room right now?" Amanda huffed. "First-time mothers always think the pain is worse than it is. You'll be fine. Just walk to room 203. David's jaw tightened. He could feel Grace shaking beside him. "She's barely able to stand," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. Amanda gave a slight, sarcastic smirk. "Labor isn't supposed to be easy. If she can't handle this, well, she's in for a surprise." David helped Grace to her feet, his hands warm and steady against her back. She tried to take a step but stumbled, letting out a cry. Amanda stood with her arms crossed, making no move to help. "Let's go, slow and steady," David whispered, ignoring the nurse. By the time they made it to room 203, Grace was gasping for air. David eased her onto the bed and pressed the call button to summon the doctor. Amanda stood at the doorway, rolling her eyes. "Do you really need the doctor already? Women have babies every day, you know," Amanda muttered. Grace clutched David's hand tightly. "It hurts so bad," Amanda snorted. "Oh, please, you're acting like you're the only one who's ever gone through this." David's hand squeezed Grace's in silent reassurance, but his dark eyes flicked toward Amanda. Something cold flickered in his gaze, though he stayed quiet. Amanda noticed the look and smirked again, clearly misreading his silence. "Look, the doctor will be here when he's free. Just try to breathe or whatever." She turned on her heel, leaving them alone in the room. Grace fought back tears, overwhelmed not just by the pain but by the humiliation of being treated so poorly. "Why is she being so mean?" she whispered. David kissed her forehead softly. "She doesn't know who she's dealing with, Grace, but she will." Another contraction hit, and Grace cried out in pain. David pressed the call button again, harder this time, but there was no immediate response. Minutes passed. Grace's breathing grew ragged. Sweat trickled down her face, and David could feel the tension in her body as she clung to him. He looked toward the door, his patience wearing thin. Amanda reappeared, leaning casually against the doorway. "What now?" "It's not like pressing that button will make things go faster." Grace whimpered, and David's hand curled into a fist at his side, but his voice remained calm. "My wife is in labor and needs the doctor." Amanda smirked. "Doctors don't rush for every little thing. You're not exactly VIPs here." David's eyes darkened, and his jaw tightened. But before he could say anything, the doctor arrived, an older man with a kind face and a stethoscope around his neck. He frowned as he saw Grace's state. "Why wasn't I called earlier?" the doctor asked sharply. Amanda shrugged. She was exaggerating her pain. I didn't think it was urgent. David stood silently as the doctor assessed Grace. He could see the frustration in the doctor's expression as he checked the monitors. "This baby is coming fast," the doctor said. "We need to move quickly." David gave Grace a reassuring smile. "It's going to be okay now." The delivery went smoothly, but Amanda's attitude didn't change. She continued making little snide remarks, believing that the couple was just another set of ordinary patients. After Grace was stabilized and the baby was born, a beautiful baby girl, Amanda finally returned with discharge paperwork. She stood at the bedside with her clipboard, tapping her pen impatiently. "Well, congratulations. You survived labor," Amanda said dryly. "Now, if you'll just sign these forms, you can be on your way." David glanced at Grace, who was resting peacefully with their newborn in her arms. He took the clipboard from Amanda without a word. Just as Amanda turned to leave, David's voice stopped her. "Before you go, Amanda," he said, "there's something you should know." Amanda turned around, her smirk still lingering. "What's that?" David's expression was calm, but his words carried weight. "I'm David Thompson, the hospital director." Amanda froze, the smirk slipping from her face. "You're... what?" David's gaze remained steady. "I oversee everything that happens in this hospital, including how patients are treated." Amanda's face paled. I didn't realize." "That much is clear," David said quietly. "And your behavior tonight was unacceptable." Amanda opened her mouth to apologize, but David held up a hand. "Save it. This isn't just about us. It's about how you treat people, especially those who are vulnerable." Amanda shifted uncomfortably, realizing the weight of her actions. "Effective immediately," David continued. "You're suspended. We'll review your conduct, and if there's any sign of this behavior again, you won't work here anymore." Amanda swallowed hard, her arrogance shattered. I'm really sorry." David gave a small nod. "Apologize to my wife, not to me." Amanda turned to Grace, who looked at her calmly, the baby cradled in her arms. "I'm sorry for how I treated you," Amanda whispered, her voice low. Grace gave her a gentle smile. "I hope this helps you be kinder in the future." Amanda nodded, humbled, and walked out of the room. David sat beside Grace, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "I told you everything would be okay," he whispered. Grace smiled softly. "Thank you, David, for everything." David kissed her gently. "Always." The storm outside had cleared, and the soft glow of the sunrise began to fill the room. Grace held their baby close, feeling a sense of peace and gratitude. And in that quiet moment, with their newborn daughter in her arms and David by her side, everything felt exactly as it should be.